All right, so here's the thing about free VPNs that nobody really tells you up front. The reason they're free is usually the exact reason they're bad for gaming. Not bad like slightly inconvenient, but bad like your ping suddenly jumps in the middle of a ranked match, your connection starts stuttering, or you burn through the entire monthly data cap after just a few seconds. Out of everything I tested, only 2 free VPNs were actually usable for gaming. One of them even had surprisingly low latency. The rest were basically unusable. But by the way, if you already know you want the best option and don't need the full breakdown, well, it's NordVPN. Links in the description, 74% off plus 3 months free. We'll get into why later, but if you want to see the free options first, keep watching. Now, if you're only gaming occasionally, those two can work, but there's also a reason most people eventually stop using free VPNs altogether, and we'll get into that one in a minute. First, the two that actually held up. Free VPN number one, Windscribe Free. Windscribe Free is the one I'd actually recommend if you're going the free route, and it's not particularly close. The surprising part is the ping. On nearby servers, the latency was consistently low, sometimes even comparable to entry-level paid VPNs. It's not something you usually see from a free tier. Speeds were also stable enough for real-time games, as long as you're not connecting to a server halfway across the world. Another advantage is the range of server locations you get on the free plan. Having multiple regions available helps if you need to connect to a specific server occasionally, like joining friends in another country or hopping into a less crowded matchmaking region. The thing that eventually catches up with you is the data cap. The free tier gives you around 10 to 15 gigabytes per month. If you're only playing a few times a week for an hour or two, you might never notice it. But if you're gaming regularly, especially with the VPN left on while browsing or streaming, you'll hit that limit faster than you expect. And once it's gone, you're waiting until the next month. So Windscribe Free is easily the best option if you want something free, as long as you're a light to moderate user. Free VPN number two, Hotspot Shield Free. The second option worth knowing about is Hotspot Shield Free. It uses their Hydra protocol, which is designed for faster connections, and you can actually feel that difference compared to most free VPNs. Now, it doesn't have that sluggish, overloaded server feeling that some free services do. The downside is the daily data cap. You get about 500 megabytes per day over a month, which can add up to roughly the same amount as Windscribe, but in practice, it runs out quickly if you play longer sessions. Short gaming sessions, totally fine. Longer ones, you'll probably hit the limit before you're done. You'll also have fewer server choices and occasional ads compared to the paid version, which is expected for a free tier. And it's not terrible if you just need something occasionally, but it's not something most people would want to rely on long term. Now, why free VPNs eventually stopped working? Those are the 2 free options that are actually usable. But there's a reason every free VPN eventually hits a ceiling, especially for gaming. The first issue is data caps and server congestion. Free VPN servers are shared by huge numbers of users, which means peak hours can get crowded quickly. When that happens, latency goes up and speeds drop, which is exactly what you don't want during multiplayer games. Then there's the server limitation. Free tiers usually give you a small handful of locations. That means less control over which server you connect to, which directly affects your ping and limits which region you can access. And then there's the privacy side, which a lot of people don't think about. Some free VPNs fund themselves through ads, logging user activity, or selling anonymized data, which is a bit ironic when you think about it. You're using a VPN for privacy, and the VPN itself becomes a thing monetizing your activity. Free tiers also tend to miss important features like kill switch, split tunneling, or any kind of real support if something stops working. None of that necessarily makes free VPNs useless, but it does explain why most people eventually switch to something paid if they use a VPN regularly. But for people who game more than occasionally, the service I usually point them towards is NordVPN. The biggest advantage here for gaming is the server network. They run over 7,000 servers across more than 100 countries, many on high capacity infrastructure. In practice, that means less congestion and more consistent ping compared to overloaded free servers. There's also no data cap, so you can leave it running while gaming, streaming, or downloading without consistently thinking about usage limits. Now, from a privacy standpoint, they run RAM-only servers, which means nothing is written to hard drives, and their no logs policy has been independently audited multiple times. There's also a feature called MeshNet that's actually useful for gamers. It lets you create a private encrypted network between you and your friends, basically a virtual LAN. If you play games that support LAN multiplayer or want a direct connection between players, it can reduce latency in certain situations. But now, to be fair, there are a couple downsides. The best pricing is usually on a longer plan, so the month-to-month cost is higher if you don't commit. And MeshNet can take a few minutes to set up if you've never used anything like it before. But if you're gaming regularly and want something reliable without worrying about data caps or overloaded servers, it tends to make a lot more sense than constantly fighting free tier limitations. Now, if you want to check it out, there's a discount link in the description, 74% off plus 3 months free right now. And if you're gaming once in a while and just need a VPN occasionally, Windscribe free will honestly just do the job. But if you're playing regularly and your ping keeps spiking mid-match, man, it's probably not your internet. It's the free VPN server you're sharing with thousands of other people. And that's the trade-off most people eventually run into.